property. So you have to be very careful if you you think somebody has moved and they have left items in the property. And one man's, I'll tell you, what's junk to you normally is treasure to the tenant. Really, I have seen plenty of cases where, you know, the bed was thrown out and all, and we just happen to have pictures of it. The soiled mattress, you could not sell it. However, I was involved recently in the defense of a case where we paid a lot of monies for a variety of reasons. It was a huge settlement. Insurance was also involved. Expensive case, and a problem lawyer, a problem tenant, and they kind of planned this. And we had done so many things wrong, and lockout, and then taking things out, and then, you know, there were so many issues where we had liability, and they have to go through, and they file the suit in the district court, and the expense of the defense, possible risk of some exposure and being responsible, even though the damages might not be great, but the attorney's fees in the case might be great. Very, very careful. It would have, and actually they did have some pictures, so that was very good. That really helps tremendously. If you are in a situation where you find that the property, you think they've moved out, and there is property still in there, take pictures of it, probably do an inventory, and you're probably well suited that if you put a notice of abandonment on the inside of the front door, saying that it appears, you know, unless you remove these items, we're going to assume that this property has been abandoned, and then probably take a picture of that, and then you can get rid of the items. Now, if the items appear to be nice, stereo or something, and you never know, maybe they haven't moved out completely, and they're still moving out, and they're taking their time. You have to be very careful. If they are what you think are nice items, you know, a nice television set still there, and although things have been partially moved, check the refrigerator, by the way. Do you see food, or is it, if it's empty, take a picture of it, because that tends to be a sign that people have moved out. But if the items appear to be new, go ahead, and you may want to store them for a little bit. Send a letter to the last known address saying, hey, we have these items, they're in storage. If you don't contact us on or by X date, we are going to dispose of these items. And that helps cover yourself.
Can we charge them for storage fees to get it out? Because we would obviously have to pay to store their goods.
I think that you're probably okay in attempting to do that.
What about in the event that a tenant is in holdover with their items in the house, they're in holdover past the end date of their lease, past their notice to vacate? What is the liability on our end as far as if we have something removed, like what you're saying, if it's just for instance a TV, or let's say that they do turn in the keys, they're out for a couple of days, we go to the house, do our inspection, and there's a bunch of junk in it.
Are they still paying at this point, or you're saying they paid and
let's
you're
say,
not?
well, I mean, I guess that's kind of
Let's say
too fast.
they were to move out at the end of February, and then come March 1st, do you think that they're still there and still living there?
Well, yeah, in a holdover event.
That's a holdover.
Yeah, we
typically.
would, you know, we would probably file for an eviction at that point, grounds of holdover, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're in violation of their lease. You do not want to go in and remove anything from the apartment without having a writ of possession and having a constable there, and that presumes that you have gotten a judgment.
So that makes sense, but what on the other point, if they've turned in, if they've surrendered their keys, or basically turned in, you know, said we're done with the property, they have left, they vacated the property, and you're fully aware of that, and then there's some stuff in the house, of value or of not of value, where is our liability on as far as with the stuff in the house? If they've surrendered the property.
Yeah, I think that you have an abandonment at that point, and what you need to do is just go ahead and post a notice. You can call them, note in your file that you've called them, and say, hey, we've called them and told them to get their stuff out. They told us that it was junk, and to throw it away.
A lot of times in that instance, you know, a tenant leaves a bunch of stuff in the house, we're gonna call them as soon as we find it. They're not, 9 times out of 10, I can just only assume that the tenant's not gonna answer their phone. You know, they probably didn't leave on good terms, they trashed the house.
Take pictures of the items, post a notice on the inside of the door for at least a couple days.
Yeah, we always post that.
Under the TAA lease, I can't remember the TAR lease has a provision, but there is a specific provision under TAA lease that says that, you know, there's an abandonment procedure, which I tell everybody to follow that. It's something like if they haven't paid rent, and it appears that for a few days we haven't seen you, and in our reasonable estimation you appear to have moved out, then you're supposed to give a notification and post it on the inside saying if you don't.
So the
remove.
picture with a date stamp of that 72-hour notice could come in very important. if
Uh,
something comes down to it.
it could,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, all this, just correct me if I'm wrong, this is all if a resident has not given an end date or a move-out date. If this is all before they've given their lease end date or a notice that we've gone out there, if they just say, hey, or we suspect that they're out before their move-out date, then this all comes to play. But if, let's say, they give us a notice to vacate at the 31st, but their lease goes through the 15th of the next month, they're supposed to be gone by that 31st, correct?
You're saying
And they've
the
turned
lease-
in-
the lease terminates at a certain time?
They've given us notice to say, hey, we will be gone by the 31st. Their lease extends 15 days past that. Let's say they've even paid rent through that 15 days, but they've given us a notice that they would be gone on the 31st.
If it appears that they have not moved out completely, give them the benefit, because they do have the right to stay there. The lease is there. In that situation, have they given you the keys? It's more complicated if they have given you the keys, but more often than not, they probably thought they would be out by then, but they haven't been able to get out. And that's where a lot of the issues do happen. There's a confusion because all of a sudden you put it on the make ready, and those folks go out and